以下為個人意見節目，內容提及嘅所有政綱及言論均以嘉賓原話為準，敬請留意。
市選論英雄 Municipal Election Talks 節目主持 Samuel Chang。
各位你好，歡迎我哋嘅聽眾今日又再一次嚟收聽市選論英雄呢個節目。今日咧嚟到我哋嘅錄音室嘅咧，就有一位候選人，佢就係咧萬錦市第4選區嘅候選人，佢嘅名咧係 Mcleod。咁佢咧就我哋首先咧就歡迎Stephen 嚟到我哋呢個錄音室。Welcome, Stephen. Welcome to our studio and taking the time for this particular interview.
Thank you, Samuel. It's my pleasure.
Now, before we start, and I guess our listener would be interested to find out who is this candidate that's being interviewed by Samuel Chang. Okay, and can I ask you just to tell our listener about a little bit about your background? I see you face to face. I had a chance to go to Google you, and I know a little bit about you, but I want to know more.
Okay. By profession, I'm an accountant. I've worked in both the public accounting as well as in the private sector. I have a very varied business background, and I bring a lot of experience to the table. I've lived in Markham since 1984, except for a couple of years. And I'm looking forward to remaining in Markham.
我剛才咧就問阿 Stephen 咧，就係一個問題就話叫佢介紹下即係有關佢自己嘅背景。當然啦，我就有機會喺網上咧就搜尋佢嘅資料。咁佢咧自己係一個會計師，咁咧佢喺呢個私人啊同埋呢個公共機構咧，亦都有做過事。咁佢亦都住喺個選區嗰度咧，有超過20年。咁呢個咧就係一部分佢嘅背景。So now you mentioned that you work in the public sector as well as in the private sector in the capacity of an accountant?
Yes, I do. That's been a recent turn in the last 5 years. I went back to public accounting. Prior to that, I worked in real estate development. I worked in other companies for major Canadian companies in senior management and financial positions.
Okay. 我剛才問佢係咪喺呢個公共事業啊，同埋呢個私人事業都係做會計嘅職務，咁佢就話係。咁咧佢不但止係咁，佢之前咧亦都喺呢個地產啊發展嗰方面咧，亦都有參與過嘅。咁喺商業嗰方面咧，佢嘅經驗咧就係睇落係相當好嘅。Now, Stephen, you had you had good qualifications. You're an accountant, and you had both public experience and private industry experience, and you're probably making a good living. Why come out and be a candidate? And I know that the pay. Being a city councillor is not particularly exciting, and I also happen to know a few councillors, and it looks like they don't have a life, and they just work, and work.
Well, I'm in a fortunate position in life right now. I can set aside my accounting practice and devote myself full-time to the 45,000 residents of Markham, Ward 4. Markham has given my family and me a lot over the years. And I think it's time that everyone gives something back to the community.
Okay. 我剛才咧就問佢，我話你做會計師，咁有公共服務嘅經驗，亦都有呢個私人機構嘅經驗，咁應該即係喺收入方面亦都唔錯嘅。點解走出嚟去參選咧？咁佢就話咧，佢出嚟參選咧就最主要咧係唔係因為錢嘅，因為咧佢覺得咧佢自己住喺萬錦市咁耐咧。佢覺得咧，佢差唔多係時間，佢亦都可以放低佢做呢個會計嘅事務， 能夠放低出嚟投身入去市政府，為啲市民、為啲居民發聲。咁咧，佢覺得呢個係佢其中一個願望之一。Stephen, Ward 8, where about this Ward 4? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where about this Ward 4? Can you share with our listener in case they don't even know what ward they belong to? I know that there's been some changes to the parameters or the boundaries of the ward.
Yes, it's Ward 4 is now Markham Village, the original Markham Village, which is between McCowan Road to the west and 9th Line to the east, 407 to the south, to 16th Avenue, and on the northwest part, it takes in the Wismere community, which is Markham Road to McCowan, north to Burr Oak from 16th Avenue.
OK， 嗱我就問佢，我話第四選區實際上因為最近今年咧就劃過個選區嘅區域，咁喺邊度咧咁啊？最主要咧就係咧喺南邊咧就係407公路 ，OK， 咁咧喺東邊咧就第9線，咁咧就喺呢個西面咧嘅分界線咧就係 Mcleod， 即係Mcleod， 咁啊去到北邊咧就喺第9線咧去到第16街。咁咧，然後咧就喺Markham Road 咧就上到去 Burr Oak 嗰處咧，就呢一個咧就係第四選區。咁如果你係喺呢一個選區嘅話咧，或者你唔知道嘅時候咧，咁到時咧你要知道咧呢個係你個選區啦。Stephen, now that Ward, there are 4 candidates in Ward number 4.
Yes.
And I had a chance to take a look at the demographics of Markham City and particularly in Ward 4. It seems to me that there is a good number of Chinese community in that area as well. Am I correct?
Yes, there is. Ward 4 is a very blended area of people from all different backgrounds, and including Chinese and Sri Lankans and Indian and traditional Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in a period of change, which is good, and we all have to have a little bit of change once in a while.
Okay. 我剛才問我話第四選區似乎都有幾多呢個我哋華人嘅居民喺嗰度，咁佢話係啊，冇錯，就不但止淨係華人咧，當然咧有其他南亞裔啊，同埋我哋即係傳統嘅本地人啊，居住喺一個非常多元文化嘅選區嚟嘅。咁咧佢亦都覺得咧，即係呢個選區有發展咧，亦都係有需要有啲改變。Very often when I interview a candidate and some candidate they do have what I call it a formal policy or platform or things that they wanted to do. Is there something in mind that you feel being a city councillor that you wanted to do for your particular ward?
Well, first of all, I do things a little bit differently. I don't set a platform or agenda. I consult with the people, and they tell me what the issues that are important to them are. And together we discuss solutions, and together we work towards that goal, which is a little different than most politicians, because I'm there to represent the people, the 45,000 people, not myself. And whatever their ethnic background, doesn't matter to me. I grew up in Saskatchewan, and I grew up in an area where there were a lot of new immigrants, mostly from Eastern Europe, like Ukrainians and Polish and Russians and Hungarians. They all spoke a different language, but they brought something to this country, whether it was new ideas or techniques, but also a little bit of new culture, which as a child, I became accustomed to and really enjoyed.
OK， 嗱，我剛才咧就問佢，我話好多候選人咧，佢都有一個平台嘅。咁佢作為一個候選人，佢有冇平台，有冇咩特別嘅嘢？如果佢做咗市議員嘅時候咧，佢會做嘅咧咁。咁佢嘅回應咧就話，佢咧實際上咧佢係冇一個特定嘅平台。喺佢嚟講咧，佢最主要咧就希望咧能夠聽選區裏面嘅市民嘅聲音。咁選區裏面咧有45,000嘅選民咧咁咧無論係邊一個族裔對佢嚟講係唔緊要嘅，因為咧佢喺沙省咧係長大，喺沙省嘅時候咧佢亦都係一個多元文化嘅社區，亦都有好多新嘅移民啊，無論喺呢個烏克蘭啊、 喺呢個東歐啊嘅人都有嘅。咁所以咧喺佢嘅背景嚟講咧，佢就覺得最主要咧都係個聆聽選民嘅意見，一齊睇下有咩辦法咧係找到一個好嘅解決嘅方式。如果係有問題嘅話，咁調翻轉咧就唔係一定要有咩嘅平台咧係寫定咗寫死咗出嚟嘅咁。Well, that's kind of good to me. You know, if I had a problem, I want a solution, and I want somebody that I can talk to, and it sounds good to me, at least.
Yeah, well, I'm very reliable, always have been. I don't believe in taking an office and then just sitting back and doing nothing. I believe that you have to work with the people on a regular basis and meet with them. If there are language problems, we can work that out. I have friends from China, from India, from wherever, and they're all willing to help. Not all new immigrants that come to this country have English skills or good English skills. Together we can work it out, and I'll do anything that I possibly can to help the residents of Ward 4.
即係佢話咧，佢如果佢當選嘅話咧，佢覺得咧，無論你係中國人好、印裔又好，甚至如果係語言嗰方面係有啲問題都好，佢話呢個唔係一個問題嚟嘅。最主要咧，能夠咧大家咧可以想辦法溝通，可以大家咧如果係有問題嘅時候咧拎出嚟咧係能夠可以解決到嘅。咁呢個咧就變咗咧問題就變咗唔係一個問題。Your financial background, is it a plus or is it a negative? I know most city, including, I guess, countries and province or states, debt-ridden, if I can use that word. I don't know much about Markham City. Do we have a lot of debt? How's your background help or not help?
Well, at the moment, Markham is in very good shape, but we're facing a period of fiscal restraint. And we'll probably get downloads from the province again for services that the province will dump on the municipalities. So we have to be very careful to keep our taxes low and to keep the services that we need intact. We don't want to rid ourselves of those. And I'm very good at budgeting and forward planning. And I'm very open, and I don't like to waste money on things like a GTA Arena, which is now gone, but that cost the taxpayers $700,000 unnecessarily. There are other economic factors that come into it, and road construction, which in Ward 4 has been a big issue for the past 2 years, it's now into its 3rd year, and will probably go into its 4th year. That costs the economy an awful lot of money in that area.
嗱，我剛才咧就問佢，我話你作為一個會計師嘅背景，咁呢樣嘢係對個市嗰方面係有好處啊，抑或唔好處咧？咁有咩嘢佢可以做得到嘅咧？咁佢就咁講，佢話咧佢嗰個背景實際上係好嘅，因為點解咧？佢話咧佢係對呢個預算啊，同埋呢個計劃嗰方面咧係好有經驗。咁我問到佢，我話而家嗰啲大城市啊、省啊，甚至我哋國家咧都係負債。咁萬錦市係個情況係點咧？咁萬錦市咧就唔錯嘅，實際上。不過咧，因為個發展嘅問題咧，咁佢亦都擔心到咧，有可能咧省政府咧會將一部分嘅服務咧就我哋叫下調到俾呢個市政府做。咁你即係換句話講咧，喺預算啊同埋使費嗰方面咧係需要小心，係需要有財務嘅管理。咁喺呢一方面咧，佢相信咧佢係會做得到嘅。咁亦都咧當然咧，佢亦都會兼顧到其他各方面，亦都會同呢個市民咧係有呢個溝通。Well, that sounds good to me, and I know that, and of course you mentioned about the arena, the fiasco, vote a number of times, and it's been voted down. It sounds like that the city is actually listening to the majority of the citizens.
I was one of the people who gave a deputation at the 3-day or 3-evening council meeting in December. And the one thing that I really noticed and that really impressed me is that people of Chinese heritage who lived in the area of the arena came out and spoke. And I know I talked to some of them, and that's the first time that they've ever had an opportunity to participate in the democratic process. And it was absolutely wonderful to see that they could feel free to come out and exercise, their rights.
我剛才講就有同佢講，我話喺早排咧，舊年咧年尾嘅時候咧，我哋嗰個體育館興建嗰個爭論咧，咁卒之投票就唔通過啦，就唔起呢個體育館啦咁。咁佢話佢當時咧，佢喺嗰度3日咧，佢好開心，佢見到咧有好多我哋華裔嘅居民咧係發聲，因為咧就佢呢樣嘢咧，佢話佢係好開心嘅，見到我哋咁多華裔嘅居民喺度發聲。嗱，我咧就會話俾佢聽，實際上咧我哋我自己覺得啦，我哋華裔居民咧一般嚟講咧係比較沉默啲嘅，就唔係話咁即係有少少嘢都會就發聲嘅。咁但係咧，當一到去到緊張關頭嘅時候咧，我哋就即係忍唔住都會發聲㗎啦，你唔好當我哋都唔出聲㗎啦咁樣樣。Well, I think you said it nicely, Steve. Being Chinese origin of myself, perhaps I wouldn't say speak on behalf of all Chinese community, but we were brought up in such a manner that we are not very vocal, low key. Even if we know a lot, we tend to be very humble and not, come out and yell and shout until something is very essential. Then we start to think, gee, it's about time that we need to speak up. And of course, and this is one of the passion that I'm here today to tell our listener that it is important that come October the 27th, they need to exercise their right and responsibility, if I may use that word, to go out there and vote. And if you don't go out and vote, and who's going to speak for you? 我剛才咧就講我話我非常同意，因為咧我哋中國人好多咧都比較低調啲一般嚟講都係要等有啲嘢差唔多有埋身啦，咁我哋先至出嚟發聲。咁喺我嚟講咧，我亦都希望趁住呢個節目咧，能夠呼籲我哋啲華裔嘅選民咧，咁喺10月27號咧係出去投票。Now it's usual for me that every time I had the opportunity, I call on my fellow guys to go out there, guys and girls, if I may, just to be politically correct, go out there and vote. And to exercise their right. And is there anything you want to add to my feeling, if I may use that word?
Well, it's not. It goes beyond an exercise to vote. It is. It's their tax dollars that they're voting about, and it's their own financial areas and concerns that they should be looking after. And in order to do that, they have to find a candidate that will best represent them with their money.
嗱，我剛才講話唔係淨係話出去投票咁簡單，實際上咧佢講得好啱嘅。阿 Stephen 講佢話你出去投票咧，實際上咧係因為咧係嗰啲稅收咧係你有份俾嘅，你一定要出去咧揀一個咧適合嘅人選咧，能夠代表你。因為點解咧？嗰啲錢咧講得唔好聽，我哋係好辛苦揾翻嚟，揾咗翻嚟嘅時候咧就交咗稅。咁稅嗰度咧就分咗好多要做呢啲做嗰啲，如果咧使得唔適當嘅時候咧，又要加稅。咁所以咧，實際上咧，你唔出去投票嘅時候咧，你唔揀一個好嘅代表，能夠代表你嘅人咧嘅話咧，有可能咧都係直接影響到你個荷包嘅。Well, you're right. It's about your pocket. It's about your money. It's about how you manage it and how the city can help manage it so that you live.In a nice environment and have good services provided by the city and not waste.
Yes. The easiest thing in the world to do is to spend somebody else's money. because unless you have people in place or you're keeping an eye on it yourself, which you should be, people can go off on tangents and waste money. So I'm a firm believer in fiscal responsibility, transparency, and openness with the money. And I'm also a big believer in planning ahead so that we avoid duplications of things.
Steven 又話講咧，佢都講得好啱啊！佢話咧就最容易咧就係去使人哋啲錢，係嘛？你使自己啲錢就自己會睇住啦。你使人哋啲錢嘅就非常容易。咁咧佢咧係一個信念咧，就係咧佢咧係要好小心嚇，會有計劃咁樣去使我哋每一個市民嘅錢，咁能夠咧不但止唔係淨係使，要慳，兼夾咧係有比較長遠啲嘅計劃。咁樣咧，先至能夠咧就有咗嗰個我哋叫即係嗰個經濟啊，同埋嗰個稅務啊各方面嘅責任感。Stephen, and I think I wanted to ask you. Okay, we have so many candidates. We heard their names, and not every one, but most of them. They said they're going to do a good job, okay. And I, in my heart, I think they will. They will. It's not an easy job. It's a very long job and doesn't pay too well. And what makes you different?
I think it's because I didn't choose to run as a candidate. I was asked to run by a lot of people in Markham who are not happy with the complacency that has set in at City Hall. And I have a reputation, both in Markham as a father, as a taxpayer, as a long-term resident. I also have a reputation in business of accomplishing things.
Okay.
And one of my big accomplishments is that I was a vice president of a major Japanese corporation at the age of 30. And I have a success rate of the last development project that I worked on, it was a waterfront development project near Port Severn. The other partners were at a point where they said, we can't do this. I found a way to make it happen.
嗱，我就問佢，我話好多候選人都話佢係好適當，佢可以擔任呢個市議員嘅職。咁我話你有咩同其他啲人有啲咩唔同咧？咁佢就講得用一個例子講得好好嘅。佢話咧，佢係能夠做嘢做事嘅人。佢喺30歲嘅時候咧，就已經係喺一間好大嘅日本公司度做副總裁。咁啊，當時咧有啲發展嘅機會，咁咧就好多嘅其他嘅伙伴咧都話做唔到嘅。咁但係咧佢咧係能夠咧迎難而上。就應付晒所有呢啲咁嘅挑戰咧，能夠解決到，能夠做到呢一樣嘅問題。咁所以咧，佢自己覺得嚟講咧，不但止係咁喎，仲有咧，佢係因為有好多佢嘅朋友，因為佢覺得而家個市府嘅運作係唔係咁好，係叫佢出嚟參選。咁佢自己亦都當然啦係有嗰個使命感咧，覺得佢都可以做到嘢啦。咁所以佢就決定出嚟參選，所以咧呢一方面咧，佢覺得咧佢係有可能咧同其他啲人係有啲唔同嘅。Now, Stephen, I like what I just heard, and but you know what? Time goes by so quickly, and before we end the sessions, can I ask you and share with our listener? Is there some way that our listeners can go and find out a little bit more about yourself? Is there a website, or should they just like me Google Stephen Mcleod and contact informations and your last word?
Well, you can contact me and get more information at www.electstephenmcleod.ca. And I'm also available to take phone calls. My number is listed there. And if you have concerns that aren't on the website or on my brochures, I'd be more than happy to sit down and discuss them with you. We can go over with them. And before I go, Samuel, if you don't mind, there's one other thing that I know in the newer area of Ward 4, that is a big problem, and that is snow removal in an efficient manner. And that's part of the platform, and that came from the people. It didn't come from me. And we're working on some solutions for that.
OK， 嗱，我剛才咧就問佢，我話我哋個節目都差唔多完啦。咁佢亦都提供咗，如果我哋想知道有關於佢嘅資料咧，我哋都可以上網。個網咧就係佢有個網站嘅，佢亦都剛才講咗。Can you repeat your website again?
It's www.electstephenmcleod.ca.
OK， 咁你如果我哋啲聽眾咧想知道有關多啲佢嘅資料咧，就可以上個網站。咁亦都佢剛才咧亦都提咗多一點咧，就話咧佢個區嗰度咧就有啲收集嘅問題。咁咧佢呢個咧就係唔係佢自己講出嚟嘅，而係咧嗰啲市民同埋佢收到嘅嘢。咁呢樣嘢咧佢亦都係會跟進嘅。如果佢當選嘅話，I guess last word would be come October 27, go out there and put across the gains.
Yes, please get out and vote. I hope you vote for me, but please get out and vote.
Okay, and 多謝我哋今日嚟嘅嘉賓 Stephen Mcleod。如果你覺得佢係一個適當嘅代表，你10月27號咧，你去到投票嘅時候咧，就可以去佢個名 Stephen Mcleod 嗰度打個交叉。咁或者當然啦，我哋可以喺早啲嘅時候有預選，可以早啲去選亦都得，亦都有網上嘅選舉。咁多謝各位收聽今日呢個節目。咁我亦都會再次多謝Stephen 今日嚟到我哋嘅錄音室。Thank you again, Stephen, for coming in today and spend the time with our listeners. And I hope they had a better understanding. And hopefully they'll make a wise decision come October 27.
Thank you, Samuel. You did a great job. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay, and I enjoy it too. It's been nice conversations and relaxed, and I learned something, and never too old to learn.
Of course not.
Thank you. 多謝各位收聽。OK， 我哋今日嘅節目到此完畢。拜拜。
以上內容純屬個人言論，所提及嘅政綱均以嘉賓原話為準，並不代表本台立場，敬請留意。